Squad, please.
Amateurs versus professionals. For decades, the fundamental conflict that existed, to a greater or lesser degree, in most major sports that emerged from England at the end of the 19th century. The distinction was not one of accomplishment or ability, as we might understand now, but had more to do with class. Amateur was the athletic version of gentleman, a man of inherited means who didn't need to play a sport for money. In a tennis context, having the leisure time to hone one's skills on court was a sign of status. The professional, on the other hand, had to serve and volley for his living. Since the first Grand Slam back in 1877, tennis was predominantly populated by relatively wealthy individuals who could afford to play without being paid. However, as the sport grew in popularity around the world, it began to escape from its regal and aristocratic origins and took its first steps on the path to true professionalism. In the wake of World War I, as economies boomed, sport emerged as an exciting form of entertainment. Tennis was among the sports that greatly rose in popularity during the 1920s, and two of its greatest ever players were instrumental in its rapid ascent on both sides of the Atlantic. 6'1" William Tatum Tilden II, or Big Bill, towered over tennis both literally and figuratively. With his powerful game, he obliterated the notion that tennis wasn't a real sport, all but single-handedly carrying it from the backyards of manners to mainstream America in the 1920s and early 30s. Ranked world number one from 1920 to 1925, Big Bill was a pillar of American sport's so-called golden age, often sharing sporting headlines with notables like baseball's Babe Ruth, golfer Bobby Jones, American footballer Red Grange, and boxer Jack Dempsey. Tilden won 10 major titles, the US National Championships 7 times and Wimbledon 3 times, while anchoring the US team to 7 consecutive Davis Cup titles, earning the epithet Tilden the Invincible. Tilden simply was tennis in the public mind. At almost the same time, tennis's first female superstar was also emerging. Suzanne Lenglen filled the stands with her flamboyant brilliance on court and her eccentric personality that blurred the lines between superstar athlete and diva. She drank, swore, and had lovers by the score, and played tennis incomparably, losing once in 7 years. Lenglen was number one in the world from 1921 to 1926, winning a total of 250 titles, 83 of them in singles, 74 in doubles, and 93 in mixed doubles. She compiled a win percentage of 96.9% across all disciplines, with an astonishing 97.9% win percentage in singles. She was so popular that in 1922, the All England Club moved to a larger location, in part to meet the public's demand to watch Lenglen play at Wimbledon. Such was the global popularity of Lenglen and Tilden that others inevitably attempted to cash in on it, and friction began to arise between what it meant to be an amateur or a professional tennis player. At the time, amateur standing was regulated by rules established by tennis officialdom, the National Tennis Associations and the International Lawn Tennis Foundation. An amateur was not permitted to receive prize money, though expense payments were allowed, along with certain monies from sporting goods companies or other benefactors. A player's income from published writing was a grey area. Individuals, according to tennis officialdom, who earned pay for teaching tennis were deemed professionals. A few pro-am events had been allowed, pitting a teaching pro against a regional level amateur, for example, or perhaps a doubles exhibition, but open tournaments were forbidden. In the summer of 1926, promoter Charles C. Pyle's perseverance and checkbook ultimately won over tennis's brightest celebrity. Although professional tennis tournaments already existed, Pyle, known as Cash and Carry, and not just as a play on his initials, convinced Lenglen to turn pro and join him and his troupe on what would be the first significant travelling professional exhibition series in tennis history. At the same time, Pyle tried to sign Tilden too, who declined an on-the-spot offer to double the amount under discussion. Pyle told Tilden he was a fool to stay amateur, and Tilden later agreed. He turned professional in 1931, writing that he had wasted 5 valuable years of my career, influenced by that old amateur bunk. Lenglen struggled with the decision of turning professional, but the sum of $50,000 certainly helped her to, as she put it, escape from the bondage and slavery of amateur tennis. In the 12 years I have been champion, I have earned literally millions of francs for tennis and have paid thousands of francs in entrance fees to be allowed to do so. I have worked as hard at my career as any man or woman has worked at any career. And in my whole lifetime, I have not earned $5,000. Not 1 cent of that by my speciality, my life study, tennis. I am 27 and not wealthy. Should I embark on any other career and leave the one for which I have what people call genius? Or should I smile at the prospect of actual poverty and continue to earn a fortune? For whom? Lenglen may have turned professional, but tennis itself did not. Instead, the sport's ruling bodies responded to what they perceived as a threat to the very nature of the game by banning from its showpiece events, the 4 majors, anyone who, like Lenglen, had turned professional. Lenglen criticised the evasions and subterfuges that enabled top stars like herself to remain amateurs. Under these absurd and antiquated amateur rulings, only a wealthy person can compete, and the fact of the matter is that only wealthy people do compete. Is that fair? Does it advance the sport? Does it make tennis more popular, or does it tend to suppress and hinder an enormous amount of tennis talent lying dormant in the bodies of young men and women whose names are not in the social register? Thus, tennis was split in 2, between the amateur game and the professional sport, and for much of the next 40 years, these 2 groups would compete on separate but not equal tracks. Starting in the 1930s, many of the early greats, including Fred Perry, Don Budge, and Jack Kramer, became barnstorming professionals that featured the reigning champion playing a recently signed amateur champion. They spent the first half of their careers recording famous victories in Paris, London, or Forest Hills, and the second half in relative anonymity, trudging from city to city to play one-night exhibitions, but it paid the bills. In addition to the head-to-head tours, there were the annual professional events called championship tournaments, featuring the world's top professional male players. According to Ellsworth Vines, the Wembley tournament in London, the US Professional Championship, and to some extent the tournament in Paris were the major professional tournaments prior to 1968. As the big names began departing for the pro ranks earlier and in more significant numbers, it left the leading amateur-only events like the Grand Slams, which in effect became qualifying competitions for the professional circuit, with fewer established champions in their draws. In an attempt to stem the tide, federations and national associations, which were organising the biggest tournaments in the world, discreetly paid amateur players under the table to have control of them. These players were called shamateurs. These amateurs were not earning enormous amounts of money, but enough to maintain their status and play the most prestigious tournaments like Wimbledon and Forest Hills. Tennis was slowly cannibalising itself. In his autobiography, My Story, A Champion's Memoirs, published in 1948, Bill Tilden wrote, "If tennis is to realise its full potential, it must find a solution to the professional amateur problem which has plagued it for many years. The sporting public wants to see the best. It doesn't give a hoot whether that best is amateur or professional." By the mid-20th century, Jack Kramer had taken over as promoter of the Pro Tour and expanded it into an international operation, the players taking a portable court with them. He offered lucrative contracts to stars like Pancho Gonzalez, Pancho Segura, and the Australians Frank Sedgman, Lou Hode, and Ken Rosewall, in raids that incurred the wrath of officials of amateur tennis. Kramer, in turn, viewed those who ruled the amateur game as more concerned with maintaining their power than enhancing the sport, and felt undercover payments to players corrupted them. I grew more and more frustrated as I watched the finest carryover sport in the world being strangled of its natural popularity by a bunch of hypocritical idiots who ran the amateurs, he said in his memoir, The Game, My 40 Years in Tennis. Throughout the 60s, the major tennis-playing superpowers, Great Britain, the United States, France, and to a lesser extent Australia, led the charge for open tennis, proposing almost every year, in slightly different formats and varieties, for the removal of the amateur-professional distinction and/or open competition. Each time they were defeated by the International Federation. 1967 saw the birth of the National Tennis League, organised by former US Davis Cup captain George McCall, and World Championship Tennis, founded by New Orleans promoter Dave Dixon, and funded by Dallas Oil and American football tycoon Lamar Hunt. Between them, they signed a significant number of the world's top players, both professional and amateur, including the then Wimbledon champion John Newcombe. Wimbledon organisers could no longer stomach the facade of the amateur-professional divide, and at a historic AGM at the Queen's Club in Barons Court, London in December 1967, Lawn Tennis Association chairman Derek Hardwick abolished the distinction of amateur and professional players at every British tournament. The All England Club then made the bold move to make its 1968 Wimbledon Championships open. The move is made because the English are tired of the hypocrisy in the sport, the shamateurism that plagues high-class tennis. It is well known that amateurs bargain for and receive exorbitant expenses to compete at many tournaments. We must take action on our own account to make the game honest, said Derek Penman of the British Tennis Association. For too long now we have been governed by a set of amateur rules that are quite unenforceable. Unsurprisingly, the ILTF announced plans to suspend the LTA from April 22, 1968, but tireless campaigning from the All England Club and LTA Executive Committee members, alongside overwhelming support from amateur stars like Arthur Ashe and Billie Jean King, forced the ILTF to reconsider its position or risk a mutiny. An emergency meeting was held in March 1968, and the 47 participating member nations decided unanimously to withdraw their opposition. It was a victory for the progressives, as the International Federation approved 12 open tournaments. The era of open professionalism in tennis had finally dawned.